fuck is happening right now? Oh, this is the best ever. Oh, I'm going. I like going down the mountain chasing bluegills, dummy guys.
Yeah, what he said. Welcome to Chumming Up, the fishing, spearing and ocean adventure podcast that is taking Romania by storm. They absolutely love us over there. I am Comrade Squirrely, and with me, as always, except for when he's not, is my co-host, Leewold Comrade Mitchell. How you going?
Yeah, good, Squirrely. Good to be here.
Yeah. Is Romania communist or...
I don't know. I don't even know where Romania is.
Yeah, we got to get a better hold on our demographic for this. Anyway, before I introduce our guest, because we got a big podcast, I do know you've been pretty busy the last couple of weeks. Before we get on to that, I think your youngest bloke got his first stripe marlin.
Yep, first stripe, yep.
And your missus Nikki got a blue.
She got a blue, yep.
Blue?
Yep.
And I know when I was out with you, I seen the biggest blue marlin I've ever seen in my life by a mile.
Yep, seen him, but that doesn't really help us that much, does it?
It's as good as I get. I see, I don't catch. Anyway, you excited about tonight?
Very excited, yep. Got a cracker guest on tonight.
Yeah, hope so. Anyway, without any further ado, welcome to the podcast. This guy is the owner, operator, and founder as well, because they're the same thing, of Unstruck Charters. Welcome to the podcast, Josh Brunzeel.
Hi, Squirrely. Thanks for having us on.
Cheers,
and,
mate.
Lee, I want to hear about this big blue that you've seen.
Well, we seen it, and then we didn't catch it.
Did you hook it?
For me stats, we hooked it, but we had it on, took about 5 metres of string, had it on for about 2 seconds. The ratchet went on the 80 wide, and that was the whole fight. It was shaking its head a bit.
Yeah, it had the lure without taking any drag for a fair while. It had so much of its body out of the water to grab the lure, and where you just see a fish and you just got goosebumps and you don't do anything.
Yep.
Yeah.
What's he called? Come on.
I don't know.
Over the magic mark.
Need bigger arms to.
If it's not, then I don't have a good enough imagination.
You never want to see one.
Yeah. Yeah. I think we had a first time angler strapped up, ready to go, and I think we both thought we're not getting that fish anyway.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
It's always cool to see a big one.
Yeah, that was it. So how about yourself? Your year as a charter operator would have been as strange as any?
Yeah, 2020 was a crazy year, sort of just after coming off the back of Gamex, having a good comp there, and then having the whole world shut down and our industry close up. It was definitely, from hero to zero. So we're having a great comp, and then 3 days later, everything pretty much closed up, and we had no work for 2 months because no one could get to Exmouth. So it was a massive extremes, pretty stressful for the family, and worried that you're going to get a few guys employed and keep 4 boats running, and worried that it was going to last a long time. We're very lucky that it blew over for a couple of months for us. So
yeah,
it's good.
Yeah, I mean, talking on that, you were just saying you've got 4 boats in your fleet.
Yep.
So
I don't know if I call it a fleet.
Well,
It's definitely what it is.
yeah. What else? What else? Do you,
It's not a pod.
It's a posse.
better than a group. Anyway, your fleet. So you got four boats. What are they?
That's including my tender. Like, if you really want to go, I've got a kayak as well. We can call 5 boats now, and
I'd claim it.
Why not?
No, we've got 3 working boats. So we've got a 20-foot inshore sport fishing boat, which is an ocean whaler, which is for lagoon style fishing and flats and the Gulf. Sight casting, sport fish, and then we've got the 30-foot sport fishing boat, which is a Fury, which I've had for a decade now. That's got 600 horses on the back. Does 52 knots. It's probably my favourite boat.
Oh, shit.
It's a beast to drive, and it can do anything. So you can fish the shallows, it can zip along in a metre of water, or you can catch big blues out of it.
Yep.
And then we've got a 40 Blackwatch, which is recently repowered. All the fruit on it, from everything from Wi-Fi and satellite TV and cell-fired boosters and desal plants and aircon. It's an amazing boat. So very lucky to have a boat for each style of fishing in Exmouth. I don't think there's an area where we're not covered. We can tackle anything from one of our boats. And the 4th boat is just the tender to get out to the big boat.
Yeah, but you can fish the marina with it. So, I mean,
it's good for squidding. Not that I like squidding. I hate that.
Well, there's a fleet of squidders in fucking Xbow. If there's a group of people who like to brag about how they fish, it's people who catch squid.
Yeah, it's taken pretty seriously. Some of the squid jigs you see in the tackle shops are like $30 when you can get a $1 one that does the same job.
I just don't get it. I had a guy on charter, a Japanese fella, actually, a couple of years ago, and he hired me to go squid fishing, right? So we're in the lagoon, and we're on, this boat's costing just under a couple of grand a day. He's got these special Japanese squid rods, whatever they are.
Yeah.
Like, how different are they to a fishing rod? So anyway, he's, dressed like a Formula One driver. He's got all these fancy rods, and, I'm charging him. It's just me and him. We hook these squid. He catches them, and this is the best thing, right? After I take a photo of him with his squid, he releases them.
Catch and release squid.
Catch and release squid. Did not want to
Wow.
kill them. Catch and release squid.
I don't think I've ever seen that.
No. The only point of going squidding is to fry the things up, right?
They're just really good eating and
'cause
little
it's like
work.
catching seaweed.
Yeah.
So anyway, that was an interesting experience. I think he might have fished with some other operators in town too. Like, went out with a few of us just to catch and release squid. It's a long way to come.
That's an easy charter, though.
Mate, it's the best.
Except for cleaning the boat.
Yeah,
It's a
that's
nightmare.
true. Oh, yeah, that's where the tinny comes in handy.
I should have taken the tender.
Yeah. Well, funny you say that with like the Japanese charters, because I remember when I first started as a decky on Blue Horizon, Steve telling me they got hired by the original Japanese company that made the prototypes for the electric reels.
Yep.
That you use, and they just came over, could not speak any English at all, and all they did was I think they accidentally caught like a perch on one because it was all shallow water fishing, and it got nailed by an estuary cod and snapped the rod, and then that's all they wanted for the rest of it, and they snapped like rod after rod, and that was it. They had a ball and gave I think they ended up giving them like 2 of the brand new reels, because Steve still had one up until the end there.
Yeah, right.
That's all they wanted to say was the rod snap on these big fish.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Strange.
Yeah, okay. That is strange.
Maybe they learned something from it. Maybe they were
Yeah.
watching the way it snapped.
That's it. Like you said, you did have a pretty good start to the year. Well, it's as good as you can get. The major fishing comp in Exmouth since the start of Exmouth has been Gamex. You managed to win that.
Yep.
The tagging overall Billfish.
Yep.
And I think the best part of that was I did the auction and you bought yourself in the silent auction without even going to bid.
That's right. I never went to, which was the first time that's ever happened to us. I don't know what happened, but we got passed in really cheap, which is fantastic.
So what's really cheap? It's under $200.
It was $175.
Yeah.
And when I went up to pay for it, the tournament director said, "How's this possible? Like, we're going to put this in auction anyway."
Yeah.
Right.
Because they came up and told me that. They said, Josh hasn't gone over, but we're going to put him in anyway.
So that's what that said. And there was all sorts of talk, like my team hid the sheet under someone else's sheet so no one could bid on it and that sort of thing. And no one knew it was missing because there's 50 boats. And
because I remember like just looking through early and I seen it and I'm like, that's going to change. And it didn't.
It's fantastic. I think the year before we went for 2,200.
Yeah.
And I bought the boat for $175 this time.
and then the pool's like,
I can't remember, 4.5, 5 grand.
oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, I guess the numbers were down because COVID was
It
Yeah.
wasn't as high as it was about 5 grand. I can't remember.
plus also the auctioneer was pretty useless. So
You did a great job.
we would have got better.
Then there's other cash and prizes and that sort of thing. But with a charter boat, I make the deal with my guys that I don't get any prizes. So if we win a tournament, it all goes to to my clients, to the competitors.
Yeah.
And the reason for that is that win or lose, I get paid, right? If these guys are chartering a boat, if I don't win the tournament, I still get my paycheck.
Yeah.
So if they win, it's all theirs. So they were very gracious. They obviously gave me a good tip after.
Yeah, you'd want to hope
Yeah,
so.
they would have got some good prizes. Yeah.
They flew in from Victoria. I only just met them, the day prior. They've jumped on board, never caught a black marlin or a sailfish before. They've done some stripey fishing, live baiting, very different style to what we're doing here to catch fish. And they had 1 day pre-fish. They did really well. I think our stats were landing 22 from 23 bites.
Yep.
Which was really nice for the 6
That's
days.
unreal.
And yeah, fishing sort of working really nicely. The cogs really sort of meshed smoothly for the 6 days. Three guys on board plus me and the crewman. So yeah, it's good. I really enjoyed it. Good comp, nice weather.
Yeah.
And yeah, certainly a strange one. The wife was on the phone to me every afternoon saying, "Oh, the world's changing around." And I said, "Come on, you're making a big thing out of this. Like this has got no traction. We've all had swine flu and no one really gave a shit."
Yeah.
And I'm saying, you're watching too much Facebook and Instagram propaganda. And so here I am ignoring the world for a week because you're fishing Gamex. As you know, you're up early, you're home late. Nothing else exists but competing for the week. And then all of a sudden they're talking about cancelling presentation night because you're not allowed to hang out in big groups. So that's sort of when it hit home, and I thought, great, the only time I've won Gamex, the first time for me, and they're going to shut down the fucking presentation night. So it was a bit of a laugh, and in hindsight, it's all funny. But that's been my nemesis tournament for the decade. I've never fished that comp with mates or with crew that I knew and trained with. It was always clients on board.
Yeah.
So
okay.
it was really rewarding winning with guys that you haven't fished with before because it's quite challenging.
Yeah, but in saying that, your crewman Dan is obviously an exceptional crewman and used gel well.
Yeah.
I remember during the tournament you posted some photos of some mid-air tag shots he was pulling off, and they were something else. Like, I've had a go on the tag pole and I've never done any of them ones. They were unbelievable.
No, he's very good, and we don't spend a lot of time tagging throughout the year. We only tag in tournaments, so for the limited opportunities he gets during the year, he's definitely on point. So he knows how to, for a young fella, he knows how to point and shoot, all right? So he's got unusually long arms too, which helps with, adds another 4 foot to the tag pole.
Yeah.
But no, he's really good. So it was a nice win, and it was the only comp that we hadn't won in Exmouth.
Yeah.
So taking out all the others over the 10 years. And then, this was the one. So it was sweet. And to do it with Dan, he's probably the best crewman that I've had. And he's sort of getting his certification this year and coming up through the ranks. Going to be driving one of our boats. We'll be looking for a new young guy. It's good to do. Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
well, with that, like you said, hiring a young bloke and seeing him come up, do you try more for that when you're looking for crew?
Definitely. We've my wife uses the word grooming. I don't know if it's the appropriate. I don't know if it's the appropriate word. I like to say training.
Yeah. There's a bit of grooming there.
Yeah, there's a little bit of grooming. We try and get them when they're in school. So
Yeah.
So that's going on the website out of context.
yeah, they can do. These days the school up here, they can do work experience. They can come out, hang out with us while they're in year 10, do some work with us, and we can just see if we're cohesive as a team or if they're self-motivated. Some 15-year-old kids have got no interest in hard work.
Yeah.
And then we come across ones who are super keen.
Yeah.
And that's how I started with Jack, another young guy at 15. And then, through year 11, they choose to stay at school or work for me. And then they come up, we put them on a traineeship, do a few things and then get their certification sorted out. And same as Dan, he's been with me for years now. And it's all started from that young age. So they need motivation and passion, and then the rest can be taught.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the opportunities through fishing now are probably, on a different level to what they used to be.
Oh, definitely.
As far as how many opportunities it opens up for you to then go offshore, make big money, stuff like that. I mean, there was always the trawlers were making more money and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But as far as branching out from fishing, if it doesn't turn out that you want to spend your whole life fishing,
Yeah, you can go drive a tugboat, or you can work offshore in oil and gas, and
Well, that's
or even sport fish professionally. You know, in the States or Central America, there's lots of young guys who are highly motivated and living the dream. You know, they're over there sport fishing on these big teams, and they get a training ground like this as a teenager. You know, they're up there with a good chance and for a good job over there.
Well, that's right. I seen coming from fishing and then doing a bit of oil and gas work, particularly in the oil and gas industry. They don't work people up through the ranks to drive boats. They want people that already have that experience. And fishing is that perfect platform where you can get a chance to drive and have that experience and then bring it across. But the one thing I've noticed in the fishing industry, because I've my own prawn trawler, we had some kids that were no good at school from Karratha, two of them, that come out fishing on our prawn trawler. And then the government actually got onto us and we had to take them off because we didn't have letters from the school and the parents because they were too young. So you actually, and they were two of our best workers that we had at the time. Yeah. So you got these two motivated young guys, no good on the books, want to work hard, that come through, and then it's gone the other way where the government's held them back. So it's a hard thing, like some, yes, kids are better in school, but some are better in the workforce, get them in there early. It's like doing an apprenticeship. They get their sea time and whatnot.
Like both of my young guys, did year 11, and I think they were asked to redo it. Yeah. And then that's the stage where I sort of stepped in and said, look, mate, you can do it over and over again. You're not going to get anywhere, right? Yeah. Come and be practical, work with knowledge. In 3 years, you have your certification. You can go drive a tugboat if you want to. Yeah. You can move into oil and gas. And while your smelly mates are still doing something in school and working at IGA, or not that that's a bad thing, IGA. Yeah. But you know what I mean? You can get practical knowledge even if you're not academically bright. If you're motivated and practical, then, the world's your oyster.
Well, that was one thing I always found. As soon as I started decking, or at least once I got fairly decent at it, getting another job, even completely outside of the field, was never hard. People would come out on a charter, see how you have to work. And I don't think it matters whether it's charter fishing, commercial fishing, or anything like that. If you make it on there, you've got go.
Yeah. And that's the thing. Again, when I did that short stint in oil and gas, if you worked with someone from the fishing industry, whether it's crayfishing or anything, it was great because they worked hard. In every work environment, you'll get someone that's dead wood and sooks, but it wasn't those guys. So, they're like, how good's this? This is way easier than fishing. That's always the comment, isn't it? When you come from fishing, this is easier. Yeah. So, yeah.
Yeah. Do you find, I don't know, just in this town, I find it strange, the fishing industry, whether it's commercial and charter, seems to be on a lower rung viewed. Like whenever I see talk about employment or something like that, some of the other marine industries get talked up a bit more than the fishing that seems to actually be training up people like that from school. Is that a view?
You sort of, definitely. I feel that way. And even in tourism WA and these sorts of promotional videos, there's never mention or even show of sport fishing or charter fishing in TV advertisements. It's all whale sharks, it's wallabies, it's all the, Charles Knife Canyon. It's all these eco-style tours, which are great. But obviously there is an industry in town which is helping out the young people. It's a sustainable way of fishing and entertaining people. So, we sort of don't get a mention. It's definitely, flying under the radar. It's almost not trendy.
Yeah.
It's not trendy for a lot of groups, right?
Well, I think I've been watching lately just the talk on accommodation, and it always comes back to where the whale shark people are going to stay.
Yeah.
That there never seems to be that concern. When I started in charters, we did whale sharking and fishing, but probably half the people decking on the whale shark boats were out of Exmouth High School.
Yep.
I could be wrong, but I wouldn't think there would be any. And if there is, there might be very few that have done that in probably the last 10 years.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's right. I wouldn't have thought about that.
I don't know, met too many young locals who it seems to be a transient population coming in and being staffed on the whale shark boats, apart from the owners. And
one thing, like you said, Josh, with the what's trendy and that, I noticed the other day because we had family up for Christmas. Go down to the Ningaloo Centre and they got a chalkboard there, you know, and it says whale shark seasons this time. It says like what's on now, basically. Turtles are laying and turtles are hatching. If it was me, the biggest thing going on in this town to me is it's blue marlin season. Like what? How do they not have on that chalkboard blue marlin season? Like if you come to town, you got to catch yourself a blue marlin. That's what you got to be doing. You don't need to be seeing a turtle lay no eggs.
If you go if you go to Cairns in the last 3 months of the year, it's big black marlin season, right?
Yeah.
You go to book your tour, book your charter. Everyone's pushing it. Here, I mean, we were out there the other day, and I think Lee made the comment to myself. There's boats everywhere. There's people coming from everywhere to go blue marlin fishing, and there might be some tourists who come here who want to go blue marlin fishing that do not know it exists.
Yeah.
Right? The visitor centre could have a big board up saying it's blue marlin season. The hardest thing then is getting them on a boat who can do it. But just to give everyone the opportunity that it's there, it might motivate them to come back the next year.
Yeah.
Well, let's go back and let's do that as a part of our holiday.
I mean, we just had a few of my Scottish mates, one from that I know from comedy. So he came up here for, I think, the second or third time because he did a trip just watching on Leewald's commercial fishing.
Yep.
And then was like, what other fishing have you got up there? And we're like, oh, we'll test you out on some marlin. And took them out for 2 days. They got in trouble with their missuses because it was supposed to be 1 day and then they seen what was out there. but like those guys had no idea what was out there. I mean, at the moment we're on, some of the best blue marlin fishing that is going around.
Oh, for sure.
Oh, yeah. It's world-class fishing.
Yeah, and then that probably leads me to the comp that you seem to have dominated in the few years I've been taking notice. I'm not sure what it's called.
What's it called this year?
Yeah.
The Better Billfish Bonanza, that's what it is.
Yeah.
That's what it's back to being, and that's what it is.
So that's mainly focused on the sailfish, and I think, you can tell us how many years you won it till he stole it this year. I've never seen him so happy ever in his life.
That's a good little segue.
You got to let the kids win every now and then. Otherwise they get upset and they stop playing. If you don't give the outside circle, you don't have to throw someone a basketball every now and then. They're not going to win. No. It was Leeds did a good win, and we had a new crew this year, which was a tough training ground for them. So first year with a new crew. They just couldn't keep up the pace of Lee. I think.
Well, the fishing was a fair bit slower than normal as well.
And we're only a couple of fish behind. I think by the last day, not like the 11 fish I beat Lee by last year. So
how many had you gone in a row before that?
I couldn't tell you. 3, 4, and then I miss a year. Then maybe 2, and then I don't think I've been out of the top 3 in 10 years.
Yeah.
And maybe taking out half. This is just going off my memory because there's so much going on. Maybe winning 6 out of the last 10 years, and then second for the other 2 times. And
okay.
I don't think we've done worse than second in 10 years.
In that.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Not a bad record.
Don't quote me on that.
Yeah, that's
Someone who looks up the archives and say, you came third in 2001. it's...
I have found it's pretty hard to find, the archives of anything.
We won every year.
Not like it's on the board.
Oh, really? Okay, we won every year for the last 2 decades. It's one of my favourite forms of fishing, the aggregation in the Gulf. Again, world-class fishing. You don't have sailfish bait balling and feeding on the surface where you can cast a bait at a free-feeding billfish. It doesn't happen in very many places around the world. I've been lucky enough to fish, in Guatemala and Costa Rica and see it over there and sort of their techniques and adapting a few styles and using it here. Again, it's a world-class fishery that no one knows about.
Yeah.
We're talking about blue marlin now. It's fantastic, great numbers, great size fish. The sailfish aggregation is world-class and it's so accessible.
Yeah, anyone can fish it.
Yeah.
You, as the fisho,
Yep.
It takes skill as the skipper and everything else, but
Oh, of course, yeah. But mum and dad can go out there in the afternoon in a little boat, and you can see town. Right? You can see town where you're fishing, and it's calm in the afternoons. It's a great place for juniors to get their first billfish. And when we first started out, not charter fishing but tournament fishing up here in my private boat, we were using these big reels and lots of line, and we just worked out we're not burning more than 50 metres of line on these fish. We're staying on top of them, and we're now using 4,000 size reels. Reels that guys are fishing and catching bream down in the marina with. That's what we're casting baits at sailfish. It's good fun fishing.
Yeah.
And no matter your age or your ability, you can have a lot of fun on those fish.
The funny thing that gets me with that particular fishery is I've only have experienced it over the last 3 years myself, and I've lived in town for a long time. And I sort of only went and had a go at it because tournament fishing sort of hit home to me. It's something I wanted to get good at, and I thought, I got to figure out what's going on in there. But then once you go and see it, it's actually that good. But for some reason, when you tell people about it and talk about it, no one really seems to think it is, like, no one really gets it until you see it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, they just, but then once you start doing it, it's unbelievable. Like you said, even for me, just taking my family out, I know for sure it's my kids and my wife's favourite form of fishing.
Yeah.
And now when we get relatives, they ask what time of year to come. I just say, come October, because I can go do 2 hours in the Gulf with you. You'll see a whale shark and a manta ray and a whale, and you might catch a fish and you'll love it.
Yeah, where else can you? And you're sight casting to 7 foot of feeding billfish.
Yeah.
You're creeping up to this animal. It's 5 metres off the boat. Everyone can see it, and you're throwing a bait in front of it. You're watching this wild animal turn around and feed. It's awesome. It's like going on safari in Africa and watching a lion feed. It's not behind the boat, like it is west side. Although if you're teasing a fish up, it's spectacular too. But you're drawing that fish to the boat. This is the other way around. You're finding a fish which is just cruising around the ocean.
yeah.
It's pretty cool to see. We've seen bait balls, with a dozen sailfish on them, and we've just pulled up and we've just watched. We haven't thrown a bait, and just to experience it, it's sort of David Attenborough shit, right? It's amazing.
It is, yeah. It actually is.
And in a spot that you don't think something like that would be. Like other places around here, they look like something like that, but that's just, I still don't know why they're there.
Bait, I think.
Yeah, but I mean, there's plenty of bait spots where they come up in big groups, but
You get you always get a mix of currents in there.
yeah.
Like there's always like a tide with a colour change going in there. So I think you got a northern water and a western,
See, I'm not
western water.
smart
That's
enough.
what I reckon.
I'm not smart enough to work that out. That's why I just go on other people's boat.
Also,
Do what they tell me to do.
I mean, they're all theories, but from what we know about them, the aggregation comes from up north and moves down into the Gulf.
Yep.
And where these fish are aggregated off, say the Monties, it's in 60 metres deep or 50 metres of water, where that fish has a lot of room to feed on bait balls throughout the whole water column.
Yeah.
The reason we're seeing them is because it's 16 metres deep.
Yeah.
Right. So there's a lot more chance. There's a lot less water for them to play with. They're pushing bait fish against the surface a lot easier.
Yeah,
than
true.
that, right? There's 3 times less water.
Yeah.
So we're seeing 3 times more bait balls on the surface.
Yeah.
In saying that, I've fished off Mexico and you see bait balling stripies, you do it in deep water.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Which is different. But the Gulf seems to be quite unique, the way they feed. There is a lot of different types of bait fish too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
10 different types of silvery looking fish in there.
Yeah. It gets hard when
thing-
Leewald tells me which one to bait up. The silver
all look
one
the
or the
same.
other silver one?
Silver one with a yellow dot.
The thing for me is I sort of think the current a bit from the north, just because you can get a smaller size fish in there. You actually get a different years classes of fish swim together.
Yep.
In there you'll get larger ones and medium and then smaller. And then, as we know from Fraser Island on the east coast, the juvenile black marlin come down and actually get caught in that little cup of a bit. And I suppose the Gulf's sort of a bit like that. They sort of, it's the end of the road unless they head out deep and go around the corner.
Turnaround point, yeah.
Yeah.
So with that, how many's the most you've caught on a day? Do you know?
29 fish in a day.
29 sailfish.
Yep.
Done.
29.
That's
So-
a good day fishing.
Didn't want the 30?
Yeah.
Do you know what it was?
Here we go.
Still remember the clients that gave me the shits.
They all do.
There's an English guy and his father-in-law and his son, right? So there's 3 generations of family on board. The middle guy, the dad, he loved his fishing. Son sort of into it, and the father-in-law not really interested. Anyway, we've broke the 20 fish mark by lunchtime. Having a fat time, they're complaining hard that their arms are sore.
Perfect.
And I'm like, come on, guys. And I think from memory, the best day before that was 21 or 22 fish. I'm like, we're nearly on record here. Let's keep pushing. And then they said, look, all right, let's just beat the record. We're going home. You know, we want to go home. And so we've gone through 21, 22. It's all high fives. Yeah, it was the best day we've ever had. You know, we've only left the marina at 8 o'clock in the morning. We've only been on the water 4 hours. It's included collecting our bait. They were just coming up everywhere.
Yep.
So I pushed them, and and I said, okay, just one more. And, you know, they're like, all right, let's go down. I'm like, okay, let's just move over here, and the birds will blow up. And I'm like, I stop, I run down, I throw the bait. It gets eaten, I pass it to the rod, and they're like looking at me like, fucking, like, let's just go. You know, it gets to about 2:30 in the afternoon. I'm in the tower, and the dad climbs up the ladder, and he goes, Josh, take us home.
Oh, shit.
And I went, mate, like, you're onto something epic here.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
this is it.
Yeah.
Like, no one experiences this shit. Like, your son's here, your dad's here. This is so cool. And he's like, take us home now.
Yeah.
I said, okay.
So that was it.
Back at the ramp, 2 o'clock in the afternoon, 2:30, done.
It's always how it happens. It's
Oh.
never the group or the person that you want with the fish.
Mate,
you know,
if-
when you get that one chance, you're like, anyone else?
Yeah, and if you had 4 guys or girls who are super keen to fish all day until it got dark, you'll probably have done 60.
Yeah.
You know, it's
Yeah, you're not leaving that. And I mean, no, you know, it's sailfish.
Yeah.
Like, you know, it's not blue marlin fishing.
No, you're not- I mean,
It's not body cramps and all the rest.
I mean, it's intense, but I mean, we can knock them over quick. If guys know what they're doing, you can get them on fast and get rid of them fast. You know, and then high numbers is where it becomes fun. That sort of rotation and the chase of the numbers becomes fun. I remember being next to Lee in the final 15 minutes of a tournament, I think 2 years ago.
3 years ago.
Lee remembers it well.
Yeah, he remembers.
Well, 3 tournaments ago.
He doesn't remember any names. He remembers every single day of fishing, and especially all of my fuck ups.
Yeah.
It was radio silence on the last day of the last
First day.
15. Was it the first day?
First day.
First day, last 15 minutes of the tournament, you get radio silence called, so no one else can call in their fish. And we tagged 6 sailfish during radio silence.
That's unreal.
So
isn't
within
it?
15 minutes of tag 6, the guys were just tagging him. I'd snap them off. You'd put another bait on. We weren't even moving the boat. You'd drop it in the water, it'd get eaten.
Yeah.
I mean, next to the boat. They were coming out from underneath the boat and hitting it.
Yeah.
And then Lee was probably 300 or 400 metres away from memory,
Yeah.
thinking that he was doing well.
Yeah, well, I was doing well. So I got 3 fish in that same 15
Yeah.
minutes.
You hack.
But I had
it was good.
I had 2 adults and my 6-year-old son on the boat. So we caught, my 6-year-old didn't catch one in that 15 minutes, but he did catch one for the tournament. But we caught 3 fish with 2 anglers. Josh had 4 anglers and his crewman as well.
Oh.
So, you know, really,
They lived in Kalgoorlie. Those guys were in Kalgoorlie. They lived in the desert.
but,
The desert.
but we had the
With a
same.
day.
But we had the same thing. There was just, for whatever happened, fish just popped up around the boat.
Yeah.
I actually remember seeing a couple of fish, might sound ridiculous, sticking their heads out of the water and just looking at me. And I'm like,
Catch me.
what is happening? Like, if you had 100 baits, you would have had 100 fish on it.
Yeah,
It was
it's
ridiculous.
ridiculous.
And because we were 300 or 400 metres from Josh, I was actually looking over at him going, this bloke doesn't even know this is happening right here.
Yeah.
This is awesome. But, it was,
Well,
but the same thing was happening over there, obviously. So
Yeah.
And it was pretty sweet after, you know, radio silence gets called out. You can, you know, keep on logging in these sailfish, and there's one more, and just one more, and just
Yeah.
one more. And it was,
yeah, and I remember it well. We were on, before the lines radio silence, we were on 5 fish and you were on 10 fish, and we got 3, And I remember thinking, oh, we've got close to him now, and you got 6, and you still had double the amount of fishes. And it was like, you got 16
double the amount of
day.
people remember, Lee. So it's way.
but it hurt
We were
me.
doing it way easier over on my boat.
Well, at least you admit it.
How does that work on radio silence? Because it's so different in that, like, you just call once we're on?
So when you're hooked up. So radio silence is for everyone to keep off the radio, no chatter. And if you do happen to hook a fish, you call in your boat name, on strikes, hooked up, right?
Yeah.
And that's it.
So if you tag and release one and then get onto another one, you don't have to call hooked
Correct.
up again?
Yeah, that's correct. Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah, okay. Because, I mean, you don't really, that doesn't really count much
Happen
when
that
you're
often.
marlin fishing.
Yeah.
Like, you're hooked up, that means you got one marlin.
I think it's what happens is, I mean, the way I understand it, the reason you call hooked up is that when it's time's up, it's 5 o'clock, there goes the buzzer, you're still fighting a fish and the boat next to you doesn't think you're cheating.
Yeah,
right?
that's right.
Yeah,
You
I
haven't hooked that
understand
fish after line's out, you've hooked it within the time frame, so that's where it comes from. But yeah, it is an interesting point, and it's probably not in the rules anywhere. Do you need to keep on calling hooked up? But who really cares?
Yeah.
I'm putting in a protest for what year was it?
I don't know.
Oh, 3 years ago.
3 years ago, protest.
He cheats.
The biggest disappointment for me was because we called
Both of
hooked
you.
up. Well, we called hooked up and Josh called hooked up. My biggest disappointment was we called in our tags first. So we called in the 3 with our chests puffed out, thinking we were all that. And then Josh called in the 6, and that hurt a little then.
I don't
Yeah.
remember that.
I remember it pretty well.
Like I said, fishing days and fuck ups. But like those numbers there, and then this year was down.
Yeah, it was.
Is that a trend, or do you think that's just?
There's definitely a trend to quiet fishing. It's so much I can say. It's funny, the Gulf will have 3 or 4 good years and then it will seem to sort of drop away. Now, if that's the La Nina effect that we're seeing this year, slightly different water temperatures, is that what we're seeing? Or it's just a natural cyclical thing of not so many fish get pushed down. There still was large numbers of fish coming past the Montebellos and Barrow Island earlier this year, but they didn't seem to show up in the Gulf in large numbers. Now, they did that about 4 years ago, I believe.
Yeah.
And that was the last time I lost the tournament.
Yeah.
So on these low fish years...
Yeah, when any hack can win it.
No. It's
No, let's put it out there. Anyone who wins on a low fish year is a no good dreadlocked hack.
what I'm saying is that when it's a tough race, one fish can make a difference in a tournament. But if there's lots of fish to be caught, you can sort of build up a lead. The last time we didn't do too well in the comp, we were beat by a boat who caught marlin westside. They caught 3 marlin in 2 days, where we caught 2 sailfish.
2 sails, yeah.
Yeah.
So, and that was a tough year.
Yeah.
So it's definitely, we even went west side. Did we go west side this year?
Yeah, you did first day.
First day we went west side, which is we haven't done in years. And we still got 2 sails west side, luckily enough. And then sort of with Lee seeing fish in the Gulf, we sort of needed to go back in there and stay next to each other. So it's an interesting one. I think I'm hoping next year they're all back on and it's all surprise. I think you can miss the sail aggregation if your finger's not on the pulse. They can turn up a month earlier and disappear a bit earlier.
Yep.
Although 3 years ago we were fishing Gamex in the Gulf and still catching sailfish.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's what interests me a bit, which I've been thinking about. That 3 years ago, was that the Gamex after the quiet year in the Gulf? Did they turn up late?
Yeah, I'd have to look at the records. I've got it all written down.
Because obviously it come back from that last quiet year really well.
Yeah.
And arguably that last quiet year was quieter than this year. If you only got 2 fish in 3 days, well, you got 4 in 2 days in the Gulf this year in the same tournament. So, it's fishing better.
Yeah, and the tournament was different dates this year. Sort of a bit later in November. Usually it used to be mid-October. But it ranges from mid-October to early November, the comp dates. there was a lot of reports of sailfish deep into the Gulf this year, right down the bottom.
Yeah.
I know guys who personally hooked them down off Learmonth Jetty and south of Learmonth Jetty. You know, fish showing up at Cooper Shoal, in front of Bay Arrest, those sorts of things. So deep down into the Gulf. And we've caught a lot of sails way south of Exmouth in the Gulf. But this year, I don't know if they were just another next level step down. So, there was a lot of bait this year. And I think a lot of bait can work against us also. It can spread out the aggregation.
Yeah,
if it's just held up in one area, which is usually just sort of to the west and north of Exmouth Reef area, that's where the bait aggregation seems to be. But it was massive this year. It started in August and it went all the way down to December and it went all the way down to the bottom of the Gulf. So maybe there's the same amount of fish. They're more spread out. Yeah.
So, like, obviously it's a fairly new-ish as far as most other fisheries, at least at how it's been fished. You know, do you enjoy, like, what you've just put through there, like prophecies and stuff like that? Do you enjoy that part of... I think it's similar with blue marlin fishing, is that you can get knowledge about it, but there's still a lot that people are learning each year. Do you enjoy that part of it, or are you like, fuck it, I just wish I knew so that I can put these people on?
No, you're always learning. I think if there's any captain that says he's got things sussed out there,
he does all the time.
if any guy thinks he's got it sussed out, you know, they've got no idea. You're always learning. Fish behaviour is number one. You know, you're sort of watching how a fish behaves in the spread.
Yeah.
Or when you're approaching a fish and how you're going to catch that particular fish. You see different behavioural systems all the time, but over sort of 10 or 20 years, it starts making sense how they're acting, or why they're acting the way they are, when they are. And I think once you can work that out, and especially the sailfish in the Gulf, once you can read bird behaviour, it's sort of definitely a big advantage. Bird behaviour will have some guys chasing imaginary bait balls off 2 miles one way, where you'll find other boats won't go towards a bird aggregation simply the way how fast they're flapping their wings.
Yeah.
Right. So there's a lot of subtle differences. I can't say too much because Lee's listening. But, you know, obviously being out there and spending the time, you start realising that if a certain type of bird is doing something, you don't even bother looking anymore.
Yeah.
And then it throws you a curveball. I remember one year you get those current lines out in the Gulf and there's these seagull patches, and usually seagulls are nothing much interesting. We had pods of sailfish feeding under squawking seagulls.
Yeah, okay.
And I'm like, you know, it's just totally left of field, different sort of... So you don't ignore everything or anything, but you sort of got to pay more attention to others. So
Yeah.
no one knows everything,
Yeah.
apart from Lee.
Yeah. I gather that. You've been on a boat with him, if you know that.
I can hear him from my boat. I don't need to be on the boat.
Oh, he's a hack. Absolutely robbed you this
I didn't
year.
really sign up for just this abuse session.
Yeah. This is what I set it up for. You thought we were going to gloat in your win. I just wanted someone to back me up.
It was a good win.
No, he's a hack. But you obviously fish sails in the Gulf. You fish marlin, blue marlin. You do a lot of bottom fishing. Looking through your page as well.
Yeah. It feels like a lot.
Yeah. Yeah. I get that feeling from Eddie. It's just something that...
Look, you know, we... As a charter operator, you know, we're in business too. You know, we need to make money, and certain times of year, there certainly seems, you know, July school holidays, you can just guarantee that everyone wants to go bottom fishing.
Yeah.
Right? It's sort of that style of demographic of people coming into town, and all they want to do is catch bottom fish. And it, not to minimise or dumb it down on how easy it is, but it's just boring. It's just fucking boring.
It's not as challenging, is it? And that's where the boredom comes from.
And I mean, my other captain, Captain Ash, he is like a great bottom fisherman. He stares at that sounder. I don't know what he does to it. It's always turning buttons, right?
Yeah.
But he loves it. He turns bottom fishing into how I feel about game fishing.
Yeah.
Right, he tunes it in. He can see a fish fart at 3 miles away on the bottom, and he catches a lot of fish, really good at it. So what I try and do, and the master plan is that he does all the bottom fishing.
Yeah.
So I try and push people towards him.
Yeah.
And then I can do stuff that I enjoy. You know, because why not?
Yeah. It is like your passion in the sail fishing, the blue marlin, or just
Oh, look, any sort of, I think,
combination?
yeah, definitely a combination. Bill fishing, people always say, if you get a chance to go fishing on your day off, what do you do? And I say, I'll go bill fishing.
Yeah.
Right? And it's generally what's going on. Like at the moment, I'll be blue marlin fishing. If it was October, you know, you're sail fishing in the Gulf, and if it's March, you're catching, you know, juvie blacks out the front of Tanabiddy. So definitely that hunting aspect of it, and I like the technicality. You can make it very easy, bill fishing, but you can also be quite technical about it, which is what I enjoy.
Yeah.
I enjoy the technicality of species, and that's why I also enjoy sort of shallow water sight casting stuff. It's, you know, the hunts there, it's quite technical, but the baiting the hooks up, like I did all day today.
Yeah.
You know, you sort of you glance at your watch and like, come on, let's get the hell out of here. Like,
Yeah.
we had a great day, good clients, that sort of thing. You're always happy to catch people fish, and I do enjoy it. But, you know, when you're marlin fishing, you're not glancing at your watch,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
You sort of look at your watch and go, oh, shit, is it that late? Yeah, I've got to get back soon. Like, you know, the time flies. But everyone's different. You know, some people love their bottom fishing. I understand that, but
Yeah.
it's certainly not my first passion.
Yeah, okay.
Not like you.
I don't know if any fishing is my first passion.
No?
No, I just get told to do shit. I'm just a follower. I didn't ask Eddie this while he was here, but obviously Eddie from Peak Sport Fishing and yourself started fairly similar times, and then you've both built up to the point where, like, you've pretty much not got a duopoly on the major tournaments here, but like the people that are winning it in between are just some dreadlocked hack.
I don't know. He's not going to be back next. Come on, he's a good guy.
I'm taking every shot I can.
Yeah, bloody hell. We got suicide watch.
Do it. No, but do you enjoy that competition? Do you find it a competition, or are you just focusing on what you do? Is there a bit of all of that?
Oh, look, I'm competitive by nature. Like, I enjoy the competition.
Yeah.
You know, it's for nights before a tournament, I can't sleep because I get excited. You know, I love the tournament, and having someone like Ed to compete against is great. We started a matter of weeks apart. You know, a decade ago, I was doing my commercial certification, you know, over 10 years ago now, and I knew Ed before from the tackle shop, and he was in the class too, and I said, oh, mate, what are you doing here? And he goes, well, what are you doing here? I said, well, I'm, you know, getting my marine qualifications. I'm going to go drive a boat. And he's like, yeah, but what boat? I said, oh, well, you know, to tell you the truth, I'm getting a centre console built. I'm going to start sport fishing charter boat.
Oh, no.
And he went, really? So am I. I went home. I remember saying to my wife, for fuck's sake, like, no one's ever done this in Exmouth.
Yeah.
Here we are committing, you know, $250,000 and the rest to a boat which we don't know it's going to work. We don't know if anyone's going to spend money with us. Mm-hmm. And now there's going to be two of us.
Yeah.
Right? And I don't know if Ed went home at the
Would have been the same situation.
What the fuck? Like, what are all the chances of starting up? So there might have been 4 weeks between our start times. And we sort of, you know, from the start, we said, okay, well, let's help each other out. You know, let's sort of stay on the same page, and, you know, let's not be silly and work against each other, work together for the best of the industry. And I think that we've done that in the last 10 years. And, you know, we always have a laugh and have a chuckle about how it's gone and how it built up. I don't think we have a duopoly on the market or on tournaments, but we certainly, I think we love what we do. I think you got to love it. And it's been good. It's been good 10 years. And when I say 10 years, I can't believe it's been 10 years.
Yeah, yeah.
So it's been great to have him there. And then we've, you know, seen people come and go, and if you want to talk about hacks, there's been a couple show up and leave to Darwin, and you know, it's
That's so targeted. I was like, yeah, there's been a few.
he was a fucking hack. And you know, there's a few guys who have stuck, and you know, everyone's pretty reasonably friendly at the play ramps.
Yeah. Well, talking
Talking
about
boat ramps.
Talking about boat ramps, this is what I wanted to get through from the start. You got 4 boats, all right, and this is a topic that needs to be brought up a lot more.
Yep.
You know, when it comes to boat ramps, what are the rules? Like when you go in there, is it boat order? Like first boat in, second boat lines up, or is it car order?
It's car order. It's always been car order. It will always be car order. There's only a couple of. This is just. That's the way it is.
You shut up, you hack, and fuck off to Darwin.
And there's only a couple of exceptions. If there's someone there just with their missus that can't back the car, or someone with some kids, then there's nothing worse than being at the boat ramp and watching 4 full grown men hold a rope of a boat and one bloke drive up, get the car, come down, winch it on, not let them do anything while he chokes up the whole ramp. It just pisses me to tears. That's the worst thing you can do. Like that, it's car order.
All right, there you go. Agree or disagree? Anything to add? Obviously,
It's got to be car preference, right? It's got to be the cars lining up at the top of the ramp. And I always explain it to everyone because I've been called a the boat ramp Nazi down at Tantabiddy some afternoons, and you know, with people saying, you know, who are you? You're the police around here. You're telling me what to do. I said, no, I'm just trying to give you an insight of what works. It's simply because you can't fucking understand it, right?
You fucking idiots.
And that's how it goes. You know, I've knocked on windows and pulled people out of their cars, and not in a nice way. To back their cars down for them because they can't back it down. It's been
ripped him out through the window in a nice way.
It's got to be car preference. And my whole argument is this. It's afternoon, right, at a boat ramp. Most people are coming in to retrieve their boat out of the water.
Yep.
Right? Old mate with his son wants to go catch a squid.
Yep.
He wants to launch his boat.
Yep.
If every idiot is sitting on the ramp with their boat tied up, he cannot launch his boat. But if he goes car preference, he simply sits in the line with the rest of the car.
Yep.
It all jostles through, and he gets to launch his boat. And then everyone says to me, well, what if I'm by myself?
Yeah.
I'm by myself every day.
Yeah.
I tie up to the outside of the jetty where there's no adjoining boat ramps, so you don't block up the fucking ramp, and you walk and get your car, and you hop into the car preference line.
Yep.
Then you back down to an empty ramp, you go to your boat that's tied up on the opposite side of the ramp, whip it around, put it on the trailer. It's not hard.
And that's the only way it has to go. And because of launching is why it has to be car order, because then you've got both. And the argument, like you said, if you're by yourself, doesn't work, because what if the bastard that's launching is by himself?
That's right. If the guy's launches by himself, he can hop in car preference and he pulls. I do it every morning. You launch your boat, you pull it out, and you park it off the boat ramp, right? Yep. On the outside of the jetty. It can't be that hard. And I don't know why the Shire doesn't make up a fucking sign with the little arrows and say this ramp is car preference only. Do not block up the ramp. Park your boat off the ramp. How hard is it?
I strongly disagree.
Oh, you're just being an idiot.
Yeah, honestly, I do agree with it, but I was talking about doing sides, but put one on one side that says one thing and one on the other that says the other thing. Just so I can go down and drink a carton while everyone punches on.
Well, that's the same, like at
This ramp
Hillary's.
is car preference. This ramp is car preference.
If you go to Hillary's, that gives me the shits too.
Launch and retrieve
They've got a launch ramp and a retrieve ramp. You've only got half the ramps all the time, where, like Josh said, in the morning it's predominant launch and in the arvo it's predominant retrieve. Just put car preference and everyone's good to go.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I think the reason why I started thinking about it as much as anything was I think it was July school holidays. We had one where there was literally like 4 grown men on about, there would have been 8 or 9 boats just all lined up, and it was one trailer down at a time, and that they were all on the boats, not on the ramp.
Yeah.
They were literally waiting till someone took one car down, and then they pulled it up, and then it was like 10 minutes for them to walk to the edge of the road to get their car, And so I got dropped off, and then you just see this fleet of people like running.
Then they yell at you saying you're pushing in. I'm like, wait a minute, we're just dropping someone off to get the car.
Yeah, they tried to block off Leewald with the boat. They were yelling at us.
Yeah, they put one on each side, and then I had to drive through the middle to try and get you. But you always make it.
I got reported for ramming about 5 years ago.
Did you?
Ramming is a thing.
Did you actually
Not
touch?
a good thing like it sounds.
Did you actually? Did you actually touch the boat? Touch another boat?
Well, it was more like a glance. So Dimwit, right, comes and parks his boat, big plate aluminium, ugly looking thing on the boat ramp, right? Leaves his squawking wife on there, right? And I'm already backing down the boat ramp.
Yeah.
So I got empty trailer coming down. Here comes a
That's what
parks
happened
it,
to us.
right?
Yeah.
And I hop out. I said, mate, you got to move your boat. I'm by myself. My boat's tied up on the outside of the jetty where it should be, and I've got to put it on. He goes, mate, I've just tied up the boat. I said, yeah, easy. Just untie it. Move it off. I'll zip it around. It'll be 30 seconds. He goes, nah, move your boat and get a trailer. I said, look, and so we had an exchange of friendly words. And then I said, mate, just hold your ropes tight and I'll sneak around you. It was a big boat. It was a bold move in 20 knots of southwester. So I've sneaked around and I've glanced his boat with
Went
my
from a clip
boat.
to a glance.
I got a fiberglass boat, right? A nice shiny one. It's got a big
So
plate
you're more of a
aluminium boat, right?
worry. Yep.
Yeah. So anyway, next day I got a phone call from the powers that be
Yep.
saying that I've been reported for ramming.
Ramming.
So it couldn't go any further because there was no hard physical proof. There was no damage to his boat or mine, but it's on my permanent record. Ramming.
Oh yes.
I'm a rammer.
Oh well.
And this guy happens to live 5 doors down from me. Right?
Oh, it's a local fella.
Oh,
It's a
nice.
semi-local.
One of them.
Anyway, that's it. Yeah, so rammer.
Yeah.
Be careful if you get to the boat ramp and you're in my way.
Yeah, well, we had
I
one
got a
one
record,
day.
man.
Got a record, man.
Yeah, I'm not worried about doing it again. I'll do time.
I had one at Tandabiddy where it was a lot of boats hovering around, and I think that was, and the trailer was in the water, and I heard this guy on another boat. He just goes, "Fuck this," and just pulled into the middle there to block it. And my trailer's already going in the water, so he's tied off to the jetty. So I've just gone in past him, and he's fucking wife's up on the thing. And they started yelling, "Stop, stop!" and didn't touch their boat or nothing. Put it on the trailer, clipped it on, drove off, and they hadn't even got to their car yet. I don't know what they were yelling stop for. What they want me to, like, fuck.
Yeah, I was in the car
Yeah.
because I was like,
Yeah, because Squilly almost stopped. I'm like,
yeah.
don't stop.
Well, I thought someone had fallen, like, because Leewald was standing on the trailer. I thought he's fallen off the trailer and we killed him.
Yelling stop.
You
Yeah,
know?
because we were driving up the ramp when they're yelling stop. We were already hooked up on our way out, and we hadn't even touched the boat or nothing. We hadn't hindered anyone.
Here's the question, like, of all the reality shows that they've got on TV, right, with all the bullshit tension they have to make, how have they never filmed one at a boat ramp? Come up here in July.
Easter weekend.
Oh, you would make a killing. Like, we used to, after, like, whale sharking, if we got an early day, we'd come in on the tender and just sit there with a carton and just watch. It's the best show in the world.
Should set the podcast up there one Easter.
Yeah.
You could interview guys who are not doing car preference. And see, ask them what their reasoning is.
Yeah.
Did you know you're doing this wrong, mate?
No offense to Youngbloods, but anyone who's got a Youngblood sticker on their car that I've seen try to reverse a boat cannot do it. I've seen 6 in a row, and it's always some bloke with his missus, and you can tell she's looking at him like, I've made a mistake here. Like, you said you were something different. This is not it.
Get yourself a man that can back a trailer.
Yeah. Ladies, I'm available. That's all I'm bringing to the
Do you have
table.
a young blood sticker on the car?
Nah, I haven't got
Not
it.
yet. Maybe we could get a free one sent to you.
Yeah, well, after this, I can see that happening. Anyway, I don't know. Leewald, have you got any more questions to ask?
Nah, I think we've hit all the hard-hitting ones like the boat ramp.
Yeah. Well, I've got the same one that I ask everyone pretty much on the show. Have you got a dream fish that you're chasing? Whether it be marlin, sport fishing, anyway, is there some big goal that you need to take?
It's going to sound terrible because they're not a big, exciting fish. I've been onto the giant snakehead for the last few years. I've been fishing a lot in Thailand and Malaysia for giant snakehead. Again, a very technically hard species that live in heavy cover. You need to throw light lures, use light tackle in some pretty nasty ground, and I've caught over 100 of those in the last few years. So I've sort of really felt like I've ticked the box on those.
Yep.
I'm 40 this year, so I had a trip planned to Patagonia to tick off a 20-pound rainbow trout.
Yep.
In the bottom of Patagonia there, which is sort of bottom of South America, sort of good wine and beef country. So the idea was to go there and eat lots and drink more and catch some big fat trout at a place called Jurassic Lake.
That's a
right?
good name for,
Yeah, it's called
for
Jurassic
monster
Lake.
trout.
And they feed you this Argentinian beef and bottles of red wine, and you literally stumble out of your lodge for 100 metres, and then it's this windswept lake, which is full of these monster fat rainbows, right?
Yeah.
So I thought, that's it. I'm doing it for my 40th. Anyway, COVID hits, and now I don't know. I think the wife bought a caravan instead. Once
the world opens up, that's
that's going to be on the list. A big 20-pound rainbow.
Yeah.
I think I like a nice exotic location. I enjoy traveling. Good food, good culture, and good fishing. Definitely sight casting. The billfish thing. I mean, we're so lucky to live here.
Yep.
I fish Hawaii and I fish Central America a lot. We've got it just as good here.
Yep.
A grander black in the cans sort of style. It's got to be on my list. And probably black bass as well. Yeah, and a doggy on the surface. I've caught. Where do I stop?
Yeah.
That's
it.
Stick baiting a good dog tooth on the surface. I've caught them on jigs up to about 35, 40 kilo.
Yep.
But it'd be nice to get sort of a 100-pounder on surface. So
yeah. Now that's cool. I mean, even just mentioning the travelling to get that weird fish, because obviously I'm not right into the fishing side. I love it, but not. So my weird one is New York. They've got the tailor there. They call them bluefish. Over 10 kilo. Spear one of them. Doesn't have to be 10 kilo, but just
spear one.
Spear one and do a comedy show the same night in one of the clubs. That's it.
It's cold water in New York Harbour.
Yeah. Oh, it's it.
A couple of dead bodies float past and shoot a bluefish.
But
cool.
I mean, just one of them weird.
They got them big striped bass there too.
Yeah. I mean, that wouldn't be bad. I mean, the joke's right himself. Like you spend a day in America, you shoot up a school of fish and then do a comedy show.
I think that joke's probably better when you get back home than in America.
Probably.
No, it's better if you film it in America and then show it in Australia if you survive.
Yeah, your funeral.
I was supposed to be catching striped bass in Vegas just before Gamex this year.
Oh,
Had
shit.
an invite to go to Vegas, had the flights booked, and we made the call not to go because of COVID.
Yeah,
It was upsetting things. And if I went on that striped bass trip, they call them stripers, and they catch them right next to Vegas, funny, in the Hoover Dam. So I thought, what a great excuse to go to Vegas. Yes, I'm going fishing, darling. So I missed out on that. And if I went on that trip, our plane on the way home actually got quarantined, and I would have missed Gamex.
Yeah,
So it's a bit of a thing that I didn't go. But the funny thing was when I was looking up striper fishing, and when you put in Google striper Las Vegas, stripers don't come up.
It's funny that.
And the wife's like opened up my laptop and she's like, "Oh, you're going to Vegas," and you're looking up striper Las Vegas, and like these stripper pages are there. No, it was for the striped bass, I promise.
I feel more bad for the people that can't spell stripper. How many people
Book a fishing charter. That's not bad. $150 for half a day with Captain Jonesy.
This dude's kinky as. Anyway, I won't hold you any longer. Thanks for chumming up.
No worries, mate. Thanks for having us.
Yeah, and hopefully you do all the things you said, and enjoy the rest of your year.
Thank you. Thanks, guys. Thanks
Cheers,
for having
mate.
us. See ya.
Hey, thanks for listening to tonight's episode. If you enjoyed it, make sure you subscribe on your favourite podcasting network to Chumming Up. Like us on Facebook or Instagram or YouTube. We are everywhere. Thanks to Josh Brunzeel. Make sure you follow On Strike Charters. They're doing amazing shit in the sport fishing industry. If you're looking for a comedy show, I am at Fringe World in Perth. Squelly, heaps Aussie, get amongst it and enjoy your night.